Good morning, everybody. Today I want to talk about how to tame the madness when you're programming Outlook add-ins. Specifically form regions. If you create a form region allows you to customize the forms that Outlook uses for various things that you're trying to do. For example, if you send an email, the form that comes up when you're typing in the email, that's a form. You can add a form region to that email. Okay, a form region can be standalone form. It can be a form that completely replaces the form the default form for whatever it is you're doing in Outlook, or it could be like a piece that's adjacent to the form itself. Okay, so programming form regions per se is not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to show you a few tricks that allow you to get a better handle on what events are happening when you're trying to create an add-in with complex behavior to show you the different events during the life cycle. And I'm going to show you how to hook up events in the Outlook object itself, or the Outlook item, when things happen, and allow you to handle those events and provide some type of custom functionality for when those events occur. Like, for example, if you open a form, if you open an email, if you open an appointment item, all right, the type of item, the type of Outlook item that actually gets created in response to those types of actions changes based on what it is that's occurring, or what it is that you're interacting with. Okay, I just deleted the stuff in my recycle bin just for no particular good reason. All right, so first thing I want to do is I'm going to create, I'm using Visual Studio 2010, and I'm going to be targeting Microsoft Outlook 2010. A lot of people still use this combination. It's perfectly fine. You don't always have to use the latest and greatest. So I'm going to say File, New. I'm going to create a new project. And you can see here, okay, so I should say, in order to create Outlook add-ins or Microsoft Office add-ins in general, you need to have Office installed. If you want to create an Outlook item, you need to have at least Outlook installed, right? And that gives you access to the Outlook interop libraries, okay? So you're dealing with COM objects, all right? COM objects can be a little frustrating if all you've ever done is pure C# programming. Okay, so part of the video is to show you how to better get a handle on what actual type of object you're dealing with when you're in the code. So I'm going to create an Office 2010, use a template, right? So Office 2010, and I've got Outlook installed. You can see all the different templates. We can create Excel add-ins and InfoPath add-ins, PowerPoint add-ins. I've got Outlook 2010 add-in selected, and I'm going to call the name of the project My First Add-in. I'm going to make sure that the location that I want to put it in exists. So I have a projects folder on my desktop. So I'm going to go to my desktop, scroll down here on this side to project shortcut right there. And I want to create a new folder. I'll call this Outlook add-in. Select the folder. Okay. So I have Outlook add-in C. So it's going to, I actually have create directory for solution checked as well. So the solution name is going to be My First Add-in, and the name of the project is My First Add-in, and the location is going to be C:/projects Outlook add-in. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And this is going to bring up some code. Now I want to create a form region, so I'm going to just click on my add-in, okay, project. Right click, and I'm going to say add, and you can't see it off on the side there, so when I right click it says add new item, so I'm going to get the new item dialog box. So I come down here to Office, right? And I can either create a new ribbon, a ribbon visual designer, or Outlook form region. I'm going to select Outlook form region. Okay, and design a new form. Now there's different kinds of form regions you can create. I'm going to create an adjoining form region. So, and then on the next page, give it a name. Okay. Form region 1's fine for the purposes of this lecture. Okay, so next. Now, on this one, it says identify the message classes that will display this form region. This is important, and what this means is, so if I open up an appointment, then I want my form region to display. I don't want it to display for contacts, distribution list, journal entries. If I open up a new mail message, okay, I'll get it to display for that. I don't need it for posts or tasks. Now, depending on what else you want it to display, there are custom messages, or I don't say custom messages, but different message classes that are not available here. So, for example, if I want this form to appear when I reply to an email, right? So, IPM.message schedule meeting. If I want to reply to a meeting item, let's say if I cancel a meeting. Okay, let me spell that right. If I reply to a request, or if I send a meeting request, okay, I have to go IPM.schedule.meeting.request. Now, I want to show you, like, if you don't fit everything in here, I'm going to go ahead and click Finish, and it'll bring up some code here. First off, like I was saying, if you don't think of everything right off the top when you create the form, you can always go back and add stuff, and I'll show you how to do that. And when I say add stuff, what I mean is, if you said, I want my adjoining form region to display when I create a new email, but later on you said, oh, I really want this to display when I create a new meeting, right? And you didn't put that in the original thing, you can always go back to your code and add those message classes, and I'll show you how to do that. So in order to just better see the form when it pops up, I'm going to go ahead and just stretch it out a little bit here, and I'm going to go down to my properties, to the background color, okay, and I'm going to select a different background. Okay, so now when you hit debug, I went up here and hit the debug little green start thing, arrow. Outlook pops up because I have it installed on my dev machine, and if I create a new email, let's say I want to just say new email, then in my new, this is a form, right? This is an Outlook form. I can certainly customize this form, which is what I've done by adding this Outlook region down here at the bottom. Now, the reason why you'd want to do a new form region is, here I have no functionality in it. It's just, this blue background, right? But I could have all kinds of stuff down here. I could have check boxes, text fields, whatever, that would allow me to modify my email or modify my appointment, in whatever way I want, right? So your imagination is really the limit. You can hook, you can access stuff that's in a database, right? In order to populate this form, in order to add functionality to your email form. All right, so now let me see if it pops up for calendar, right? So if I create a new appointment item, I'll create a new appointment, and boom. All right, so my new appointment is also has the form region. So let's test it on tasks. I did not select tasks, right? So if I say new task, Okay, I don't get the form region, right? The form region does not show up because I did not select tasks. But I could have selected tasks, right? And I can show you how you can go back and change that if you wanted to. Now, in order to get to the code, right, here we have the form region design, right? You want to right click on this design and say view code. And here we have form region showing and form region close. If I come down here and expand there's this little form region factory region right here in the code. Here is where it put the message classes. Let me expand the code. Okay, I have on line 14, I have, it says, okay, this form region is going to be appended to an appointment. It's going to be appended to a note, all right? I actually want it to be appended to something else here. So let's say here, Microsoft. Let me go ahead and copy this, right? I'll show you how you can do it to a task. So I'm going to come in here and go Command C for copy, V, right? And I'm just going to back this out here, pick a space, message attribute dot, and then I have activity, appointment, contact, distribution list, note, post, task. Let's say I select task here. All right. So I've got task now I've added. Save that file. Now if I debug, now my Microsoft Outlook loads. I go down to my tasks, and if I say new task, it's thinking. I hear it thinking in the background. All right, so I get my form region, right? If I wanted to add functionality to the task forms. So in the code for the form region, okay, you have the ability to add. So I'm going to come maybe later come back up here and add some some more message classes up here. These things are what you select with the checkboxes. These things here, I'll actually put a space. These message classes are what I typed in that little text box down at the bottom underneath of the checkboxes when I use the wizard to create the form. I love coffee in the morning when I'm programming. Okay, so example, so if I want to add another message class down here, I just hit, I'm going to copy this. Okay, paste, and I can say IPM.schedule.meeting. Let's say, I'll say response negative. Meeting dot negative, like that. And if I copy that, Control C, response positive. So if I want my form to pop up to these different message classes, I can say response tentative, T-E-N-T. These, you have to look these up. These message classes, IPM schedule in Microsoft's documentation. These of course are available via the wizard, right? These are almost like you have to have that special knowledge of going to the documentation to find that these even exist. Okay, now if I scroll down a little bit, I get a couple like this message form region 1 initializing. So if you want to do something when the form initializes, here's where you do it. Now to help me get a handle, when I was first learning how to do this stuff, right, I needed to have some way of actually during running, right, when I'm running Microsoft Outlook and actually, creating an email and seeing how the form is interacting, I needed to figure out like where in the cycle of events things were occurring. So in order to do that, I used a message box. Okay, I used a message box, and in order to add a message box, you have to come in here and you have to add. I'm going to say using system.windows. You can use system.windows or system.windows.forms. And okay, so we have to come up to references, and we'll see if if we even have system.windows. It appears that we do. So we have system.windows.forms, okay? So I have windows.forms loaded, so system.windows, that's fine. All right, so using system.windows. Let's go, come down here. Now, in my form region initializing, I'm just going to say message box. Let's go up here. Let's go windows.forms. Like that. Come down here in message box. Message box is nice. It's just messagebox.show, and it takes a string. Form region 1. Let me learn how to spell initializing. Like that. Okay, now down here in form region showing, I'm just going to say form region showing. Showing and form region 1 closing. All right. So I have I put 3 message boxes in here. I had to say using Microsoft Windows or system.windows.forms. I can go ahead and eliminate that space or that line. Save. Now when I run, okay, so we get Outlook starts up. We see where it's loading my first add-in. Okay. Now if I go new email, click form region 1. So the form region is initializing before my form shows, right? Form region 1 is getting ready to show. It's showing. Now I click close. Form region 1 is closing. All right, so in those primary events, right, you have these methods that are called during the opening or showing, initializing, showing, and closing. There's other events that we'd want to handle, okay, for the Outlook item itself. Now, we haven't even talked about the Outlook item, all right? So, for example, what do I mean? If I, see here I have an email item selected, right? If that's selected, that's selected, that's selected. If I double click it, it opens, right? So I'm opening, my form region is showing. All right, so here it is down at the bottom. Let me just go ahead and, all right, you can see it down here, right? I'm trying to expand the window. I gotta make this a little bit bigger. There it goes. So it snaps in. Okay, so here's my form region, all right? Down here, the blue. Now if I close this, form region closing. All right, there's my primary Outlook form right here. Okay, for the calendar, here I have nothing on my calendar. If I create a new appointment, form region 1 initializing, form region 1 showing. All right, so if I'm going to go ahead and create a calendar item called test. You know, I'll put test down here, and I'm going to save it. So form region 1 closing. And dismiss. So it says, hey, these things are overdue, of course. Now that is selected. That's nothing selected. That cell's selected, but that item right there is selected. Now that's going to become important here in a second. Okay, because like what is actually selected versus when I double click it, what is actually opening? Okay. Now getting a handle around these things caused me a lot of problems in the beginning. All right. And like I say, the only way that I could grasp this stuff and all these event cycles that were happening in Outlook was to put these message boxes in there. But I had to add a couple other things too. And this is really the trick is, one, when you're in this form region, okay, when you're in the form region code and you want to do something with the Outlook item, most of the time when you're programming Outlook, you want to do something with the actual item. The email item, the meeting item, the appointment item. Where do you find these these items at, right? So we have to go to Safari. Let's see, there's another window I have open. That's not it. All right, let's see if I got another one. Right here. All right, oh, that's not it. Let me close that. Let me go new window and go Outlook. Outlook items. See if we can't get something fast here. Outlook item objects. All right, so this is just Microsoft's documentation for Microsoft Office. And we see we have an appointment item object, contact item, distro or dist list item, document item, note meeting item. So I'm going to show you how to deal with like appointment items. All right. Loads, right? So these are appointment items. Mail item, right? What I want to know is, and what helped me was during the cycle and when these events are firing, what item am I dealing with, right? I needed to know what item I was actually dealing with at different, during different events of the life cycle of the form, right? So in order to figure out what type of item, I actually needed to add, I had to add in my references. So in the references of your project, right? You expand references, or you right click on the references essentially and go add a reference. Now what we need to add are two things. We need to add, we have Microsoft C#, okay? We need to add Microsoft, and this will be .NET, I believe. So Visual Basic of all things. We have to add Visual Basic. I know you're thinking, hey man, that's crazy. I'm trying to do C# programming. Why in God's great name would I need to add a Visual Basic? Because there's this really cool feature in this library that makes your life easy. So I have to come underneath of using, I say using Visual Basic, Microsoft .Visual Basic, like that. Okay, so I'll come down here to form region showing, and usually, mostly, now that I know that message, I'm going to comment these out. I don't need these anymore. All right, so for form region showing, whenever I click on something, I want to know what type of object I'm getting. So I'm going to say message box box dot show, and in that Visual Basic library, there's an information object. Information dot type name, and you feed it in an object. All right, so behind the scenes in the form base, you have Outlook item. See right down here, if I just start typing in this property right there, that right there is the, so in this form, right, you're in the form region. This is the code for the form region. You have access to a bunch of stuff that's being generated right when Outlook runs, right? So in the form region base, which is the base of this class, I reckon. Let's see. Let's go ahead and Outlook item like that. Hit return. Now, if you just go ahead and put your, in Visual Studio anyway, right? If you put your cursor over it, it says form region base Outlook item. So it's a property of the base class, which is we come up here, form region, partial class form region. If we go to, let's see if we go over here, form region, we expand form region and go to form region designer code, and we come up here to form region 1. Oh, that's, so we have to come up here. Okay, so here's the class declaration, right? So the form region 1 is the class that is my form region, but it extends Microsoft Office Tools Outlook form region base. All right, so the base class of my form region is form region base, and it's this class form region base that has this property. I can close that file. That has the property Outlook item. And it's this Outlook item that is the thing that is being opened, right? That's the way you can look at it. It's the thing that's being opened. All right, and then I'll show you a helper class. So Control Save. Now let's troubleshoot. So when I open something, I'm going to get a message box that shows me the name of the class that's being opened, right? Alrighty, so here now this is the thing that's selected. When I double click and I open it, I'm going to get the form region 1 initializing. It's a mail item. Okay, I actually should add some other code here. Okay, instead of just saying mail item, I should put some like the Outlook item is the mail item. That helps better than just seeing what the name of the thing is, right? So let's go back to the code. I'm going to go back here and say I don't need to put this initializing anymore. So messagebox.show quote Outlook Outlook item is, okay, quote plus, right? I'm going to concatenate the output of that. So now I know Outlook item is, and this is going to become important here later on when I show you how to get the selected item, okay? Because when we get the selected item, we need sometimes to deal with the item that is selected, all right? In addition to the item that is opening up. So now let's run debug. Okay, so I have an email item selected. I know it, right, because I'm on it, but let's go ahead and just double click, right? Outlook item is mail item, okay? I actually could make that even more, and I'm not being nitpicky, although I guess I am. Outlook item type is space, right? And then that makes it more clear. So we're going to run this again. All right, double click. Outlook item type is mail item. Now watch this. Let me close this. I go to calendar and I double click calendar. Outlook item is appointment item. Hey, so now I know I'm typing with, or if I go here, well, okay, so if I don't know if I left tasks in there, right? So if I double click new task, Outlook item type is task item, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and put test. Subject, you better get busy. Make videos. I should just put subject make videos. And then get busy. Save and close. All right. So I select that, right? And then I opened it over here in this pane, right? You see this pane over here? So that's when I selected it, it automatically opened. So now that's a task item, right? I can change my view on my folder, right? I can say just navigation pane, reading pane off, right? I can say reading pane off, right? So I select it up here. If I double click, it says task item. Okay, there we go. So now I can see what type of item I'm opening. Now, if I want to figure out what type of item I'm selecting, or I have selected, okay, then that becomes very important too. So, so what I need to do is actually go into, I have to add another line of code here, right? So this introduces us to the concept of an explorer. Okay, so whenever let me just debug again. So when I open up Microsoft Outlook, right, this is an explorer. Okay, this window here is an explorer. Okay, so there's certain, in order to get the active, so this is the explorer for email. This is the explorer for the calendar. This is the explorer for contacts. This is the explorer for tasks. Let's go back to mail. Okay, when I'm in my form region, Let me go ahead and choke this side down so I can see more of my code. I'm in my form region. What I'd like to do is say I need a selection. So in order to figure out what I've selected, I have to say, if I go up here, sometimes this makes my life easy too. Here I've got Outlook equals Microsoft. Okay, it's already done for me, Outlook. So I come down here and I go Outlook, right? That's the namespace. Dot selection. Okay. Equals. And now, so I have my the name of my form region. So form region 1. Form region 1 dot application. Oops, hang on. Outlook form region. Okay. Dot, which is, if I click on that, right, it's form region base, right? So Outlook form region dot application. Let's come back here and get IntelliSense application. So I need to get the application. Then the application, I have get the Active Explorer. Active Explorer, okay, which is a method. Dot. That's going to give me the Active Explorer. Now I want to get the selection. So this will let me figure out what has been selected in that Active Explorer. All right. Now how do I get so the selection? It returns like an array of stuff, right? I could totally have selected multiple emails, right? And if you want to, how you handle multiple selections is up to you. I'm actually just looking for like one, whatever the first thing I selected, right? So what I want to do is I want to say, what is the type name? So message, I'm just going to copy this. Control C. What I want to do is make a check, right? I want to make sure something's selected. So if selection, okay, dot count, right, is greater than 0, because I certainly don't want to access anything unless there's something there. So I want to say message box show Control V. So message box show selected item type is, okay, information, and then I'm going to say selection, and I'm just going to put 1 like that. So I want to get the first thing. Now when I open up, when I double click something, it's going to show me what is selected and what is opening. Some cases they're going to be the same, in some cases they're not. And the trick part is when you're opening up like recurring meetings, right? Those things can be a little tricky because you got an appointment item and then you have a meeting item. You can't create a meeting item. A meeting item is created automatically. That's a great word. Automatically by Outlook. So let's run this and see what we get. All right. I have selected here, right? If I go, and you can do things with the selected item. I can go in there and say, oh, I can access properties, but we need another piece of magic to make our life easier when we do that. So double click. I say Outlook. So this is the item type that's opening is a mail is a mail item. I'm opening a mail item, and what I've selected is also a mail item. So I've got a mail item selected, and I'm opening a mail item. Hit OK. That's pretty much as you'd expect. If I go to calendar, I click here, I double click that. I'm opening an appointment item, and I have selected an appointment item. All right. Let's go back, and I want to show you something too, which is helpful. So I open up a mail item. I've selected a mail item. Up here in my tab, up here, you see tab, I have message. That kind of shows you a message is a mail item. Come to calendar. Opening an appointment item. I've selected an appointment item, and up here it says appointment in my tab. All right. Now let's go ahead and actually make this a recurring meeting. So it's going to say record once every week on Wednesday for 10 occurrences. That's fine. And go ahead and save and close. Now I have this little recurrence. Now if I open, it'll give me a choice. It'll say, do you want to open this occurrence or open the series? If I open this occurrence, hit OK, I'm opening an appointment item. I've selected an appointment item. All right. It's an appointment occurrence. Okay. If I reply, let's see if I go, I don't have any, if I forward it, if I forward the series, I can't, let me see if this occurrence, okay, it's happened in the past. So let me go to the next week. This is the 16th. Let me go to the month. I want to go up here to the 23rd. So I open this one, open occurrence, appointment item. Okay. If I can't forward this because it's got nobody. It's just an appointment. That's the problem. Let me close this. Cancel. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me close it. No. I need to go back to the work week. Let me open this. Open the series. I need to add an invitee. So I'm going to add myself. Rick@warrenworks.com, since that's the only person I know. Okay, so now I'm going to add myself. I'm going to hit send. Send anyway. Sure. All right. So now I have, if I open up an occurrence, I can actually forward these. So now if I forward the occurrence, okay. Let me open this up. Open occurrence. Now if I forward, I'm having a hard time here. Let's go to double click, open the series. This is okay, so I forward. Okay, now we have meeting item, right? So this is where it like magically changes, right? So I opened up a meeting series and I'm forwarding a meeting item, not an appointment item. All right. So, but if I go back here, now this is clearly a meeting. Let me go ahead and schedule a meeting. I'll show you why this is a little confusing, right? So I'm going to create another, right? I'm going to create another new recurring meeting. So it's opening up an appointment item, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and give it that. I'm going to say to Rick@warrenworks.com, location, well, don't need to look, subject test, all right, and send anyway. Yes, so I've updated my calendar. All right, it put 2 on here. I'm just going ahead and delete that one. All right. All right. Oh, well. Let's see here. So if I double click, I'm open this occurrence. It's an appointment item. The selected item is an appointment item. But when you forward, okay, if you forward or reply, let's say I want to reply. It's a mail item. If I reply, okay, I'm opening a mail item because I want to reply, and it's a meeting item if I'm replying to that thing. If I forward, let's see, if I right click here and I go forward occurrence, I'm opening a meeting item. Okay, this is where it gets a little crazy. I'm opening the meeting item and the selected type is an appointment item. That's kind of what's expected, right? So here I have a meeting, right? So having these, I just found it very, helpful to have these diagnostic tracer message boxes in the code using the Microsoft Visual Basic library with the information class in order to show me which items were actually being created in response to different actions on these different objects. So I don't want to send that. Don't save the changes. Okay. Now. All right. So now that I've, have these diagnostic messages in here, I want to kind of show you like there is some code that Microsoft actually provides. If we go back to Safari, not that one, close that window, the other Safari, the one that's open. All right, here we go. How to create a helper class to access common Outlook item members. All right, this is provided by this book. Okay, Programming Applications for Microsoft Office Outlook 2007 from Microsoft Press. Okay, and this is the code. So here's the using statement, which is already in the code for my form region class. I'm just going to copy this stuff right here. I'll show you how to add it in, and then we'll have to change the namespace to get it to work. But this code should work fine, just like it is. It takes a little while for my slow mouse to like scroll through all this stuff. Now you're going to be asking yourself, why do I need this? Well, it's kind of a pain in the ass to access the properties on a COM object. So what this code does is it encapsulates the COM object and provides it and makes a wrapper around it, right? And I'll show you how to use it here in a second. So almost done. Come on, we're getting there, we're getting there, we're getting there. It's just going real slow here. All right. Almost have it copied, almost have it copied. Trust me, it'll be worth it when we get to that point. All right, so copying, 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 copying. Almost done, almost down to the bottom. Just a little bit farther to go. Okay, good. Now, so we're gonna make sure we get all that last brace. Hit Control C. All right, now let's go back to Visual Studio. Let's just click over here. All right, so now where will we put this? I'm gonna go ahead and expand my Solution Explorer, minimize my references, and I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna put it like, well, you could put it, you could say new, add, let's say if I wanted to add a folder, right? I could say add new folder, and I'm going to put helpers like that, helper classes, right? And I can say in that helper, I can say add new item, code, and I'll add a class. Okay, add. All right, now I'm just going to replace. So the namespace is my first helper add-in, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just do this. My first add-in dot helpers is the namespace. Now I just copied and pasted all that code. The name of the type is OutlookItem, okay, and namespace is my first add-in helpers, okay. Command save. Now I can rename up here, I think. Well, let me close that. So class 1 is what it automatically created. I'm going to rename. OutlookItem.cs. All right. So if I open up OutlookItem.cs, right, namespace, my first add-in helpers. Okay. Now let's just compile everything. I'm going to click up here on my solution, and I'm just going to build it. Build solution. Make sure I didn't get any errors. Oh, I got 19 errors. Let's see what we got here. That's always fun. Oh, Outlook. Okay. Yeah, I need to add that thing in there, right? I have to say using Outlook equals, right? If I go to my form region, it's a Microsoft dot office, right? Dot interop dot Outlook, right? I had to do that. All right, now Control save, build solution. All those errors went away. Magic. What, using the right using statement in there and putting the library. Okay, now and So now we have this helper object. You could totally do things with this. You could, implement an interface for custom stuff you wanted to add to it. But if I go back to form region and I wanted to actually access properties like user properties, right? There's user properties on these on these Outlook items, right? So let's say every time I opened up a form, I wanted to add a little pre-thing to the body of the form, right? Or the body of the Outlook item. So there's the form, right? That's the form, like the form region. But the Outlook item is that like thing that, the message, the appointment, the whatever, right? All those have a lot of custom properties in common. So let's say that I have a mail item. If I want to test, right? I want to test for a mail item. Then I go up here in my code. I'll say form region opening, right? So I'll say if Outlook item, which is the property, not the class, right? Oh, up here in my form region, I need to say, I want to use using my first add-in dot helpers, and that gives me access to. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say using helpers. I'm going to say helper equals helpers. Right. That lets me keep it straight, right, in my code. So down here, this Outlook item is the Outlook item that's provided by the form base, right? So if Outlook item is Outlook dot underscore meeting item. I'm sorry, mail item. Let's just say if it's a mail item, then I want to create. I'll create a new Outlook item, helpers. Actually, what I want to do is this. I want to go up here. I want to say partial class, right? Form region. Come down here. I'm going to collapse this piece, and I'm going to put some properties. I'm going to say private helper dot Outlook item. Underscore Outlook item, like that. Helper Outlook. So now I have this underscore Outlook item. So now if the Outlook item that's being opened is a mail item, then I want to say Outlook item equals new helper Outlook item. And then I want to put in the Outlook item. I know, it's like West Virginia programming, right? Everything's related. All right. Outlook item equals new helper. Now I've done that, right? So I have my Outlook item. I've created my helper class. And what that does is it gives me access to properties, right? So I could say something like Outlook item dot body, right? Which is going to be dot body plus equals, I'm going to say body dot, okay. Body is a, what is body? Body is a string, all right? So I want to say body equals, well, what if something's already written there, right? I just want to append, or I could say if body is, well, I don't care. It's really not important, right? So what I could do is I could say a string builder. I'm just going to say body equals, I don't care. I'm going to say body equals I'll say if body's blank, right? If Outlook item dot body equals string dot empty. So if it's empty, right? If the string is empty, I'm not sure what it's initialized to. I'm going to say equals equals string.empty Outlook item dot body equals hello world. My imagination is falling off here. Hello world. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm testing for using is. This is how you check for a non-fail. So what this is, it's kind of like, hey, if this is a mail item, it's kind of doing a cast, right? Outlook is a mail item, and it's not going to throw an exception if it's not. It's just going to say, oh, it's right. Outlook is a mail item. I'll show you how to do a cast maybe in another video. This is just checking. Outlook item, this is the form base Outlook item, right? If I click over, it's the form region base Outlook item, which is the thing that's opening. If it's a mail item, then create my helper object, right? If Outlook item dot body equals string.empty, then add hello world to the body, right? And then I'm going to put a /n, just a carriage return, maybe 2, /n. And then save. So let's run this and see what happens, right? The worst thing that can happen, it could blow up. All right. Okie dokie. Now I'm going to say new mail item. So new mail item, Outlook item type is mail item. Selected type is a mail item, right? I'm not doing anything with the selected type. Now I'm wondering, oh, so it must not be empty. So let me just go ahead and add something there. So if, go back to the code here. If Outlook item, item Outlook is mail item, all right. So let's see. Oh, let's run it again, see what we got. So I double click, it's a mail item. Outlook item type is mail item. It's a mail item. All right, so close. So there's something faulty about my logic. Instead of saying if Outlook string.empty, I'm just going to say, okay, fine. If it's a mail item, just go ahead and say the body is hello world. All right, so let's run this, see what happens. New mail item. There we go. Okay, so we got hello world to show up. So evidently that body is not empty. I don't know what's in it, but it's not empty. All right. I guess we could find out what's in it, right? We could have a message box to display. It might have a space. Who knows what's in it? All right, so hello world. Okay. So you can access. So what that helper object does, right, it gives you access. I can set the subject, right? I can set the subject on this thing as well. So if I go back here to the code, I can say Outlook item dot subject equals test, like that. All right, run. Okay, so new email. It's a mail item. So I got test in my subject and hello world. All right, so the Outlook helper item, or the Outlook item, the helper item called Outlook item that I got from Microsoft, right? Due credit, Microsoft came from this book, Programming Applications for Microsoft Office Outlook 2007. Everything in this book applies to most everything, I guess, applies to Office 2013 as well. So, all right, now one last thing I want to show you. So I want to create another helper object, and I want to hook up some code. I want to hook up some events, right? So there are some events that occur during the life of these objects, like autosaves and forwards. Like when I forward an item, right, I might want to do something in response to a forward. If I save an item, I might want to do something in response to a save. Okay, so maybe when I'm if I have my form here, right, I have my email, new email, and maybe I have some text down here that I want to or some buttons that I'm configuring, to put some type of whatever extra data or to do some checks on my email before I send it, right? Or let's say that every time I send an email, I want to, wrap around it company proprietary, whatever my, text is, or whatever the business logic that my form region is providing, right? There are certain events like saving and or writing and form closing and form opening, those types of things. How do you wire those events up? So let's do that real fast. Give you an example. All I have to do is show you one. So in my form, right, what I need to do is I need to have a helper object. I need to have some type of helper object. So I'm going to come up here. First on my helpers, I'm going to say new. I'm going to add a helper, another helper. Add new item. It's going to be a class. Okay, and the name of the class is going to be event handler. Okay, event handler class. Yeah, that might conflict with something. Who knows? I'm going to say my event handler. .cs, my event handler. Add. All right, so I have my event handler. Now I'm going to create a. I might want to do something. Well, I need to do something right with the Outlook item. So I want to pass in an Outlook item. All right, so I need to. I'm in the helpers thing. I don't need to add that. So I'm going to create a new constructor. Public my event handler, and I'm going to say Outlook item. Okay, so it's the class, right? Outlook item, and I'm going to say this is the Outlook item. Outlook item, all right. And maybe I want to do something with a selected item. So Outlook item. Okay. Now, in my class, I need to add some private so private, I'll say private Outlook item. Outlook item. Outlook item. All right. So now when I come in here, I want to have, I want to say Outlook item equals Outlook item, and selected item equals selected item, like that. And for now, that's enough. Command save. So now I'm going to create a, I'll create a save method. I'm going to say, here's some event handlers. Public. Now, you'd have to refer to the documentation. Some of these event handlers take more than one argument. Public, void, save item. Okay. I'm going to say ref, bool, cancel. And also up here, I'm going to say using system windows.forms, because I'm going to put in some tracers with the message box. I'm going to say message box box.show. Okay, message box.show. Save item method called like that. Okay, let's wire this event up now that we have my an event handler. So I need to go back to my form region. I need to come up here and go, I got my helpers class, right? My using helpers namespace. So so now I have a method in my event handler class. I have a method called save item, And there's a corresponding method on the right for the Outlook item. So let's go down to the end of this. This is the end of my form opening. I'm going to say end. Form region. Opening. All right, let's go up here and make sure we're not in the wrong one. Form region showing. All right, so in form region showing. I just like to do this so I know what my the last curly brace is. All right, so now what I'm getting ready to show you is important because there's hooking up the event, and then you got to make sure you unhook the event. Otherwise, you'll get multiple events firing mysteriously. So this too is one of those things where the uninitiated are clueless because you'd have to do some research on it. So Outlook, in order to wire an event, you had to cast the Outlook item into a an Outlook item events. So Outlook. Okay, it's Outlook. Right, that's the namespace. Dot Outlook dot item events. Item events. So you've got item events, application events. So these are events that are on the Outlook item. Those are the ones I'm mostly interested in right here. Item events underscore. Let's make sure I'm in the right one. Item events 10. Okay, item events 10. Like that, and then I want to cast the Outlook item. Outlook item. Dot. And now we have like all these events, right, for an Outlook item. After write, attachment add, attachment read, attachment remove, before attachment, before auto save. Okay, that comes in handy sometimes. Close, equals, forward, open. So every time I open something, read and write. So the write method, the write event is going to get wired up to the, now what I need to do is whenever I open one of these, I need to create a, I need to have a private helper dot Outlook item for, create a selected item. And then I need private helper dot my event handler, right? So I need a reference to the event handler. Now, okay, so come down here. I'm gonna pull this down just a little bit and pull this over so we don't need that. All right, so coming back down to form region. So now I have my, I need to create, so every time I open it up, right, I need to create the event handler, new, so let's see, event handler, helper my event handler. All right, so I'm creating my Outlook item, right? Actually, what I want to do is, so I did this as a test, right? So I really want to create this Outlook item every time, right? I'm just gonna get rid of this, right? I'm gonna move this actually. Control X. I'm gonna move this up here. So my Outlook item is coming in every time I open the form, right? So Control V, so that's okay to do that. The selected, if my selection count is greater, right, I'm going to then create a selected item equals new Outlook item. Helper Outlook item. And then the first one's going to be the Outlook item. Okay. Nope, that's not what I want to do. Yeah, okay, so So selected item equals new. So sorry, Outlook item. I need to put selection. Gosh, I'm losing my noggin here. Selection 1, like that. Okay, so if my selection count's greater than 1, I'm just going to create the selected item underscore selected item equals new Outlook item selection 1. Now I've got both of those objects, and it doesn't really matter here. So I'm going to say event handler equals new helper my event handler. Okay. And then the first one's going to be the Outlook item. Okay. And then the selected item. Selected item, like that. Now, here I'm going to say event handler dot save item, like that. All right, now, so let's see what this says. It says this is a member code, and it is not intended to be used in your code. Nice. Okay. Okay, so I have this error right here, right? So when you try to run it, it says, there's errors, so don't build it. Okay, so my problem is I have to put another underscore event. There we go. So what I'm doing here is I'm casting the Outlook item. Okay, that's the thing that's opening up, right? So that's what you want to, you want to wire those event handlers to that item. So the write on the Outlook item corresponds to the save method, right? I guess I could call it write as well, but usually when you save, it's going to call the write method on this object here, right? So Outlook dot, so this is the Outlook namespace, right? Dot item events underscore 10 underscore event. So let's run this thing. All right, now when I open up an email, I get my Outlook item type. My Outlook item type is mail item. The selected is mail item. I put my hello world in there. Now, if I click up here, right, then I'm going to say, the save method's called. Okay, I could do something in the save method. For example, when I come up here, let's go back to the code, right? So I'm going to scrunch this down just a little bit. I'm going up to the top of my form region 1 class. I've added like these 3 properties, right, or fields, Outlook item, selected item, and event handler. I come down here in my form region showing method. There's my form region showing. And I'm going to create an instance of the Outlook item. Remember, I'm using this helper class that I got from that Microsoft book off the Microsoft website. Okay, I'm going to check and see if I've selected something. If I have, I'm going to create the selected item. Okay, and then in the case that my selected item is a mail item, or my Outlook item, I should say, if the Outlook item is a mail item, okay, then I'm going to add test to the subject, and I'm going to add hello world to the body. Okay, I'm going to create my event handler, okay, and I'm going to pass in an argument or a reference to the Outlook item and the selected item. Okay, so, in the case that I haven't selected anything, this will be null, right? So, in my class, I should probably, no, you should make sure that you're handling null items correctly. And then last but not least, okay, so this isn't last but not least. This is really the trick, right? I'm adding my event handler for the write in my form showing. I'm going to copy that, and in my form closing method, I have to come down here and I have to take away that event handler. Because if I didn't, every time I opened up a form, it would register the new event handler and I'd get 2 saves. Let's see if we can't make that happen. So, so here I'm going to change this to minus equals, right? So I'm just going to, all I'm doing is I'm adding the event handler for the write. So I'm going to go ahead and debug, right? I'm going to open up a new email. Okay. And then I'm going to save it. So I'll call the save method. I'm going to create a new email. See what happens here. I'm going to save it. Save method. Let's see if it does it again. So save method. Okay. It doesn't seem to do. Okay. If I close, sometimes there's autosave. But anyway, you should get into the habit of deregistering those event handlers. Command save. Okie dokie. Let's see here. Okay, one more event, I suppose, if we close, like form close, right? So you go back here. I'm just going to copy this now that I've got this code. Control C, Control V. So plus equals close item. Okay, and then minus equals close item. Now I don't have a close item, so that's why that method is showing up red. So I'm going to go over here. Well, I don't need to go over there. It's already opened up. So come and close that down a little bit and go to event handler. All right, so save item. Now I'm going to make another method. Void close item. Cancel. Right. Message box dot show. Okay. Close item called. Oops. There we go. Now let's run this. I'll show you. So when you close, okie dokie. So let's go to calendar item, right? So if I double click here, open the occurrence. Here I get an appointment item. Selected type is appointment item. Okay. I've got test in the body of the subject and test in the body of the, well, that's test. That's because that's what I just opened up, right? Nothing got written. But if I go save and close, all right. Let's see here. Open up. Test. Open the occurrence. Appointment item. Okay. So in that particular case, the item is not being, it doesn't look like my close message is being called. So let's go back to the code. Close item. So I'm registering my form region. I've got my close item event handler. Make sure I'm not doing anything screwy here. So selection count equals 0. Event handler equals my event handler. Okay, so here's where cutting and pasting gets you into trouble, right? So I registered the right event twice. So what I'm doing here is I got to go dot close, right? There we go. All right, pull head out of booty. Close. Now it'll work. After a while, you get like, hey, I'm losing my freaking noggin. All right, so let's see. Open up an email. So both selected and the type is email. If I hit save, I get the save item method called. If I close the window, the close item method's called. All right. So just to review, to make your life easy in the code to figure out these events, I added I added a reference to Visual Basic. All right. When I created the project that added C#, that's a requirement as well, to get some of the dynamic capability of interpreting the object. Visual Basic provides the information class. Okay, and then I added, I didn't need to add Microsoft Windows. Microsoft Windows.forms was in there because it's got to use the forms, right, for creating the form. So let me slide this back. So in my form region, I added using Microsoft Windows.forms, using Microsoft Visual Basic, and then it created, using Outlook equals, okay, equals, let me just undo. All right, I didn't want to drag anything. Okay, using Outlook equals Microsoft Office interop Outlook, those are important, right? And then Office equals Microsoft Office.core. And then I'm using my helper, right? I created my helper classes. The helper Outlook item class I got off the Microsoft website. And then I created an event handler class where I'm handling my events in a separate object. I created 3 properties, or 3, not properties, I created 3 fields, sorry, private to this form region. The Outlook item, which is when you open something up, that's the Outlook item. If something is selected, usually it is, that's the selected item. And then the event handler, a reference to the event handler. Whenever you, to register events, you got to cast the Outlook item, right? Got to cast it to item events _10 event, okay? Unless, of course, you want to handle events in the application itself, then you can use a different event type. But the Outlook item, right? The Outlook item are those things that are selected when you are dealing with Outlook items. So in this case, we're only really interested in catching these events, right? And there's a bunch of events, like I said. In order to get the type that the Outlook item is, its type name, use the Visual Basic.information.typename method, and it will return the name of that com type. Okay. Outlook item. Okay, so this is the helper object, right? This is the information method on the type name. Use message boxes in your code, all right, to help you trace through. And then whenever you go to production, you can comment these things out so they don't run, right? I just find it helpful, right, to get my handle. When you're learning and you're first programming this stuff, it's very confusing tracing these events around and then figuring out what to do in case one event happens versus another. And I hope this video helped you out. That's it for today, and happy programming.